Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Bachelorette EPs blasted by former lead for Jen Tran's disastrous season. Your silence is loud. There's really no argument that Jen Tran's season of The Bachelorette was a bust. The Bachelor Nation hit lost viewers all season as many lost interest and dropped off. That wouldn't have happened if the rest of the season had been anywhere near as intense as the finale when we learned that Devon also lost interest as soon as the cameras stopped rolling. It seems that much more could have been done to ensure Jen had a more successful season. For starters, there was a lot of criticism about the men cast for Jen's season, as viewers thought that casting could have done better. Initially, the Bachelorette viewers demanded an apology for the finale after Jen was asked to explain the breakup. Then, they sat through the first viewing of her proposal with Devon right beside her. But the Bachelorette lead feels like Jen is owed even more. Katie Thurston blasts production for Jen Tran's rough season of The Bachelorette. The most successful part of Jen Tran's season is that the Bachelorette viewers had no idea how heartbreaking her split from Devon would be. With all the spoilers going around as the season aired, we heard that Jen and Devon were no longer together, but had no idea that the circumstances would have viewers calling him one of the worst winners in the show's history. According to Katie Thurston, who has also been a Bachelorette lead, Jen's season had much more wrong with it than just the ending. She was asked her thoughts about Jen's season since she's been through it too. While Katie admitted that she didn't even tune in, she did respond based on what she heard. "I didn't watch, but I heard a lot." Katie's response began, "Whether Jen agreed or not, mistakes were made not only at the finale but throughout her entire season. It's interesting how there isn't a statement from the EPs or the franchise issuing an apology or how they intend to do better going forward." Katie continued, "They are getting major press and not in a good way. The silence is loud." She called out production, telling them, "Time to take responsibility and stop hiding behind your talent to save face. Mistakes happen, mistakes were made. Own up to them. Your silence is loud." Devon finally defended himself after the Bachelorette finale. It took a week, but Devon has finally broken his silence and started sharing receipts about his split from Jen Tran following the end of the Bachelorette filming. He shared that they didn't actually split as soon as cameras stopped rolling and made it clear that the relationship took two people to make it work and that neither was to blame for the breakup. He also claimed they did see a therapist for relationship counseling, but that he stopped going when Jen fired the original therapist without even consulting him first. Devon also claimed that he wanted to break up with her in person, but Jen pressed him and pushed him until he felt he had no choice but to do it over the phone. It seems that there's a lot more going on with those two that they only know about, and maybe Devon isn't the awful guy that Bachelor Nation has pegged him to be. In an explosive turn of events, the Bachelorette franchise has found itself embroiled in a storm of controversy following what can only be described as Jen Tran's disastrous season. The executive producers, EPs, of the show have come under fire, not just from viewers but from one of their own, a former lead, whose sharp critique has sent shockwaves through Bachelor Nation. "Your silence is loud," she wrote in an Instagram post that quickly went viral, accusing the EPs of remaining quiet while the season spiraled out of control. But how did things get so bad? And what led to the public lashing by someone who once stood at the helm of the storied franchise? Let's take a closer look at what went wrong in Jen Tran's season and why the show's EPs have been put on blast. #the Jen Tran experiment, breaking the mold. Jen Tran's season of The Bachelorette was hyped as a fresh new direction for the franchise. She was a bold choice for lead, a dynamic, no-nonsense woman who had never been afraid to speak her mind or challenge the status quo. From the moment she was announced as The Bachelorette, social media buzzed with excitement over her authenticity and how she might shift the show's conventional narrative. However, what was billed as a step forward quickly turned into a staggering misstep. The shaky foundation. Casting issues and scripted drama. The problems with Jen Tran's season began long before the first episode aired. Behind the scenes, casting decisions raised eyebrows, with insiders revealing that several of the men cast as potential suitors were brought on board not for their compatibility with Jen, but for their ability to stir drama. It was a classic Bachelorette trope, bringing in characters more likely to create chaos than find love. But this time, it backfired spectacularly. From the beginning, many viewers felt that Jen wasn't being taken seriously by the show's producers. Rather than focusing on her journey to find love, the narrative seemed more interested in crafting dramatic moments for ratings. The editing was choppy, and the show's signature heartwarming dates were few and far between. It was clear that producers were banking on the conflict between contestants, often goading the men into confrontations that left Jen visibly uncomfortable. For example, during a highly controversial 2-on-1 date, Jen was put in an impossible position when two of the show's most volatile men, Ryan and Evan, clashed in ways that felt more like a reality TV brawl than a romantic competition. Jen's frustration was evident on screen, and viewers quickly took to Twitter to express their discontent. Instead of letting her resolve the situation with dignity, producers seemed intent on prolonging the drama. The audience sensed that Jen was losing control of her own narrative, and many were sympathetic to her plight. However, the growing tension between Jen and the production team remained largely behind the scenes, until a former Bachelorette came forward. #, the whistleblower. A former Bachelorette speaks out. This was where things took a shocking turn. In a world where former contestants and leads of the Bachelor franchise often play nice with the network, maintaining a sense of loyalty and protecting the brand, the gloves finally came off. One of the most popular Bachelorettes from a previous season, known for her own emotional journey on the show and later respected as a mentor for incoming leads, took to social media to publicly denounce the EPs for their handling of Jen Tran's season. "Your silence is loud," she wrote in a post that garnered tens of thousands of likes and comments in a matter of hours. She explained that, as someone who had been in Jen's shoes, she understood how difficult it could be to juggle personal feelings with the pressure to entertain an audience. But what upset her most was the lack of support Jen had received from the show's leadership. Rather than giving her the tools to navigate the murky waters of televised romance, the EPs seemed content to let her flounder, all for the sake of good TV. It's heartbreaking to see someone like Jen, who came into this with genuine intentions, being treated like a puppet for the sake of ratings, the former lead wrote. She went on to suggest that the producers had crossed a line, and that their failure to step in and protect Jen from the more toxic elements of the show was an indictment of the entire franchise. Her words struck a chord with fans, many of whom had expressed similar sentiments throughout the season. But coming from a former lead, her criticism carried weight, especially within Bachelor Nation. The fallout was swift. #, fan outrage. Social media erupts. The post sparked a massive online conversation about the ethics of reality TV, particularly the role of producers in shaping narratives at the expense of the show's stars.